All right, this is No Excuses with Michael DiLeonardo. I'm your host, RJ Roger. Michael, how are you?
Oh, very good. Thank you. And yourself?
Everything's well.
I like
Everything's good.
you got some great shirts. You've been in
Oh,
my you've been taking my classes.
oh.
It's really
Oh,
nice.
no, it's just the color you like, though.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I know I like the collars, the button
Oh,
downs.
okay.
But you know what? Sometimes when I made my shirts, I would have where the buttons are, the dress shirts. They would make a piece of material over there so you didn't see the buttons.
Okay, I never had a shirt made.
Oh,
Everything I buy is off the rack.
it's not.
Yeah. One of the things I always wonder about, even in the little stuff I do, sometimes it can be nice to read things about yourself. Read a comment, someone likes you, hear someone talking about you. Just the activation of our own egos. We all like that in life. We all have that. I always wonder, like in the mob, a gangster, when he's in the newspaper, like you said about Jackie, that one time they called him Super Capo or something. You know,
Post.
yeah. Do guys do guys in the life like that to a certain extent? Do they look these like was did John Gotti read about himself in the newspaper or the stuff or watch himself on the news? And do you think he felt a little bit of flattery by it, or are they really angry about it? Like, which one is it? Do they truly want no one to know who they are, or to a certain extent, is there a secret ego that they like to be known as what they are?
Well, you read about yourself because usually when an article came up, the thinking was sooner or later they're building you up to take you down. Somebody wrote like a boss, like John, not a guy like me, but somebody's high profile. You say, "Wow, okay, they got me in the newspapers right now. Let me see what they're saying." Of course, you're going to read about yourself. Who would want to read about themselves, good, bad, or indifferent, to see what it is? You may not like the end result at the end of the story, but you could get information out of there. And like I said, the thinking was, what are they saying? Am I getting pinched? Who's feeding the story? Well, it's got to be the government. You know what I mean? Who's going to be feeding the story? What are they doing? An expose on me? The Time magazine, et cetera, with John, New York, or whatever he was on. I'm sure he was on every magazine just about that time. He was in the spotlight. So that was the build him up and take him down mentality.
It was The Godfather without the fancy music, but with a great storyline. The camera angles weren't very flattering, and the sound quality wasn't great, but the jury thought the content nailed John Gotti and his co-defendant, Frank Locascio.
Um, would guys get flattered if it's a good article? Of course.
Well, I guess even on a larger scale, we all watch stuff like Godfather and Goodfellas, and we talk about, hey, you watch the people in the life talk about Goodfellas. Do you guys say, hey, you got to watch this certain scene?
He used a razor, and he used to slice it so thin that it used to liquefy in the pan with just a little oil. It's a very good system.
And do you watch it, and does it make you feel a little bit more pride in what you are? A little bit more like what we do is there's some more honor behind it.
Well,
And the reason I asked that, I don't mean to cut you off, is I heard Franzese say before that, and I had a theory that I wrote about this, that The Godfather, when that came out, it probably did more damage to Costa Nostra than the FBI could ever do, in the sense of it made guys, and Franzese talked about this too, how guys started acting different. Guys started dressing different. Guys, the FBI said, they started seeing guys kissing more, kissing rings and wearing these, a different type of attire. And they would be outside, almost sitting outside. And as before The Godfather, they would kind of hide away, tuck themselves away a little bit. But he said, and on Mike Tyson's podcast, that movie probably did more damage to the mob than anything, because it changed the psyche of the mafia, in the sense where they had a little bit more pride and a little bit more, they enjoyed being who they were.
100%. They enjoyed being who they were before that. But the movie was to me, it was a more cultural movie. It wasn't more of like a Goodfellas. You know, it wasn't more like that. That was more hardcore. But dressing differently, you go back to the 1800s, everybody, I don't care, Italian or non-Italian, everybody had a hat and a tie on. Men go to a baseball game, watching Babe Ruth in Yankee Stadium, 80,000 people. They had suits and ties on with hats. That was just the dress of the day. Roaring 20s, you get into the 50s. Everybody dressed.
Well, I guess I mean more
Dressed. But the point of saying the Godfather ruined the mob, there's no way. I mean, that's my opinion. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. Did somebody feel a little more pride? Do you like the music in there? It's very moving. Do you like the scenes in Sicily or going back to nostalgia of New York City, Lower Manhattan at the time? Sure, it's great. You know, as an Italian or even somebody who had family grew up in those areas, you have a sense of attachment to that. I know I did, because I know when my family immigrated to Lower Manhattan. You know, so you get that. Did people talk about other wise guys? Absolutely, they talked about it in a glowing way, in a good way. Look at the when it was being made, right? Joe Colombo was involved in that movie after a while, if they tried to squash it, to help it being made by not using the word mafia, right? Joe DiCicco, Joe Butter, was very friendly with. He's with us, but he was very friendly with Joe Colombo. Joe Colombo sent Butter as a liaison to Al Ruddy, who made the movie. So if that was the case, that was a taboo, was a ruined, and would Joe Colombo and the other families be involved? Let it go?
Well, no, I guess what the point he was trying to make is that the film made like that, like, and I watched a documentary about this, but investigators were saying it became much easier to track the mob, to identify them, and in the sense of they were more out front before. Whereas now I'm not saying this is just something I watched in a film before.
Called the FBI got involved.
Yeah,
everything was out front. There's nothing to change. The social clubs that were there, nobody says, like, "Oh, the Godfather's on. Let me go wear a suit and tie to the club."
Good
That's
point.
ridiculous. Good. Know what did change? I'll tell you what did change. The 80s hit. You know what all younger guys wore? And I'm talking about younger 40s and under, because the guys in the 40s started wearing it also.
Italian guys? You mean Italians or people in general?
We're talking about the mob now, right? So
okay, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
The younger guys showed up in tracksuits. Sergio Tacchini, this one, that one, Puma, Adidas. That's what changed. They didn't go out and everybody go get a hat. The younger guys never wore hats, only pea caps every once in a while. But they didn't go get a Hamburg. So, he has his opinion. A lot of guys have their opinion. But I'll tell you, I'll remind everybody of the tracksuit days. Everybody had tracksuit in the 80s. There's surveillance of me in tracksuits. I have plenty of pictures. I'm by Paul's Club. I got a softball shirt on. I got another day, I got a football shirt on. The FBI's taking pictures. And there's other guys, like I said, the younger guys that were in the 30s and the 40s, tracksuits. Sammy wore dungarees. Frankie DiCicco wore dungarees at times. DB, dungarees. Louis Molino, dungarees. So Spiro wore a white T-shirt with stains on it. It's out in front of the club. I mean, maybe the people that he hung out with did that, but on a whole, I see it totally opposite of that.
But now, and this is because I can see the point into a certain extent, because the other thing that these films did, so you had this book come out, the Godfather book, biggest selling novel at the time of all time. Then the film comes out, blockbuster film. So the other thing that happened, I say, is it brought the public into it more.
Yes.
So it made the media. So that's why I always say John Gotti kind of gets an unfair rap, because not Paul so much, but there was a lot of guys who the public wasn't so infatuated with gangsters at a time, because they didn't know a lot as much as they were educated on with Hollywood. So now you got books and movies and all these investigations and stuff and congressional hearings, and that's all over 24-hour news. So it put a big spotlight from the public on them also. So you got the public and the investigators.
Yeah, but with the Godfather, it humanized these guys.
That's true.
It didn't demonize them to the general. We're talking general public again now, right?
Yeah.
The general public. It was one of the biggest films ever.
Yes, absolutely.
And a sequel, right? So, did it hurt the mob? I think it helped it. I got a little bit different. I got, or was indifferent. But I think the people look till today. People still watch The Godfather. Go on. It's probably on right now somewhere on cable.
But that's why I'm here. And that's why all these shows are here. Okay. And that's what I'm trying to say. This can't be, that came from that film. This big, so this was a secret organization. They didn't want everyone to know who they.
The Godfather wasn't secret. Come on.
No, but I'm saying, but would you agree that it put them on a bigger stage, where now everybody knows?
Yeah, people from Bull Prick, Idaho, or whatever it is, Utah, or Iowa, or Nebraska, all those Midwestern states that does not have a big influx of Italians living there. Sure, so different spotlights. Like we wouldn't know about what goes on in the Midwest. You make a movie about the Fargo, great movie, right? Who knows about Fargo, Dakota, right? You watch a movie, you get a little sense of what the people in Fargo are about. It goes for anything. As far as tainted and bad, what does somebody in Utah have to do with taking down the mob or somebody dressing differently in Utah? It's not going to happen. In New York, sure, a lot of guys romanced it. Absolutely, guys like myself. Yeah. I hear those songs. I love those songs. Yeah, Michael's theme and all that. Nino Rota, I think his name, who wrote all those things. See if check my memory. Nino Rota, I think, wrote all that. And it was fantastic. It was Giuliani loved. That's his favorite all-time movie. And he locked up every time, give him electric chair. So,
oh my God.
So I mean, it's everybody's entitled to their opinion how they viewed it, especially people in their lives. Maybe the people Michael hung out with talk negative about it.
No. It's not talking negatively about.
Yeah, wait a minute. There's guys on the West Side that were with Mike Al Pacino and the guy that played Solazzo. Great actor. Excuse me for forgetting his name. But they're together. They got pictures with the guy. The guy's a skipper with the West Side at the time. You don't think they gave him instructions how to act? They spoke Sicilian, don't forget that movie. They spoke to Sicilians. And again, Joe Colombo's influence in the movie. You think they could have made that movie in the streets of New York or anywhere else? No way. They would have to go to Canada to make the movie.
Yeah.
All in all, collectively, the whole movie, I think it just captured the mindset of the people in that life, the treachery in the life, right? And the humor in the life, the family values of the wedding with the mother, the sonny cheating with the maid of honor, right? These things happen. They're real life. People know these happen in regular life. It's not just don't happen to Italians, right?
Yeah.
So this is they didn't show, and the way it was portrayed, it was like, okay, it's showing inside the life of family. It wasn't just killing. You guys making sauce. I get someday. We got to cook for 30 guys one day, and they will. You got to hit the mattresses and all this other stuff. And it was based on certain elements that happened in history. People get murdered, right? And the when they have like a commission meeting, when it comes back and he wants to bring his son Michael back, they sit there with all the bosses, right? So it's sort of a commission meeting, isn't it?
Oh yeah, no question.
Barzini all along, right?
Yeah.
Table, So it had some structure. It showed that part of the structure. It shows the funeral parlor guy.
Yeah.
Coming over and asking a favor. Well, why'd you go to the cops first? Why'd you come to me first? Now you want to come to me because the cops won't help you. Society, you think you want to be legit, don't help you. Now you come to me for justice, right? Something like that. So there's the way. Don't go to them. You come to this government, you go to that government. Which government? Pick and choose.
Yeah.
I'll help you this time.
Yeah, I love.
You
Yeah.
know, there's so much about that movie that intertwines with that life, things
Yeah.
that happen in that life, also with family. And again, it's such a romanticized movie with look at the scenes in Sicily. I mean, as a Sicilian, you know, it's and I didn't live in those times. You know, it's just that it brings back like the sense of where you came from. You know, so
No, I think they one of some of the best. Part 1 and part 2 are some of my all-time favorite movies. But part 2 is probably my favorite movie ever made, and out of any mob movie ever made ever. I think part 2 is it's flawlessly put together. I think I love part 2.
and look at you show the struggle like every other culture that came, the Jews, the Italians, the Irish. You know, they were oppressed by the English and the Dutch at that time when they came to this country. We were in slums, you know. So and how they all and that was moving also because you know it wasn't just then. Just societies at the time went through that, still going through that today. But look at the way they existed. They came from another country, came here. All these people, like I said, Irish. You could just keep naming the backgrounds, but they all had to come up that way, and it shows that struggle to get ahead.
Yeah.
One of the ways to get ahead was you went through to a criminal enterprise.
So okay. So when you're in the life, these films do. It's kind of like there's conversations about them. Guys talk about them.
Yeah, Goodfellas, Casino.
Yeah.
Go down the line and have those examples. Like some of them, again, they're based mostly around true events. Exaggeration of Hollywood or people, what they said. Who knows what people really said? But these events are there, and it's brought out. And guys in the street do talk about it.
Yeah.
You know? Look at Scarface. I think it's the most quoted movie ever.
It is. It probably.
So
yeah.
Is that a knock on Cubans? You know, is it a knock on Cubans that they're all criminals or that's the way they live? No, that wouldn't be fair. You know, but at that segment of that population that escaped from Cuba with the Mario boat lift and they came here, sure. Castro let out everybody wanted to go out, especially the criminals first and the mentally ill. He let everybody get here. You know, go screw America. You know, I'll let everybody. I don't have to support them. But they became what they had came here. They built Miami. Nobody knows that. Well, I'm not going to say nobody. There's people don't realize what that drug trade did for Miami. Miami was a slum until the Colombians and the Cubans and everybody started making all that paper and putting it in there. The banks were crazy. There was money all over. But look at the Cuban people today. You can't brand them like everybody. If I'm Italian, you're in the Mafia. I meet somebody in another state. Hey, what are you in the Mafia? What do you know anybody in the Mafia? No, what are you going to say about a Cuban or Colombian? These are all drug dealers. That wouldn't be fair. But it gives you a sense when you watch these movies, their struggles and how they come about, how they fought in this country. Again, illegally, drug trades, murders, etc. But there's a mindset of culture that's attached to it. And The Godfather did. It romanticized till today. How long ago was The Godfather made? 73, 74?
71, I think the first one came out. Yeah.
It took 50 years.
Yeah. No, he said, I read his biography and stuff. Francis Coppola, I did a lot of reading on him. He's a very interesting guy. He's he's a second generation Italian, and he didn't want to do the film because he didn't want to shine, like he didn't like that stigma that was Italians are all gangsters. He didn't like that. His father was a musician. He came from he went to college and had a big film background. And
nothing is so terrible as a pretentious movie. I mean, a movie that aspires for something really terrific and doesn't pull it off is shit. It's scum, and everyone will walk on it as such. And that's why poor filmmakers, in a way, that's their greatest horror, is to be pretentious. So here you are, on one hand, is trying to aspire to really do something. On the other hand, you're not allowed to be pretentious. And finally you say, fuck it. I don't care if I'm pretentious or not pretentious, or if I've done it or I haven't done it. All I know is that I am going to see this movie.
So he knew that there's more. You can't just always paint us as these gangsters. But he talked about how he wanted it to show like a succession between like like a business film almost, how a father is passing his empire on to the next generation who's going to take over and things. So he wanted to kind of, and then he wanted to like that's why he said he opened up the film with them eating Chinese, because he wanted to show the differences, the nuances of the Italian people. Not, we don't just sit and eat meatballs all fucking day. Sometimes we order in Chinese food also, like everybody else does, you know.
Every Friday night.
Yeah.
It was almost a tradition for most Italian families.
Yeah.
The mom was cooking, or the grandmom was cooking a big sauce and a big meal on Sunday. So
Yeah.
Friday the break, you order Chinese food if you can afford it. But he put a lot of culture in there. And I'll suggest to anybody who hasn't seen it, there was a production called The Offer. It's about the making of The Godfather. Godfather 1, not 2.
Yeah.
With Al Ruddy,
Mm-hmm.
and Bob Evans.
Mm-hmm.
What they went through. It's really excellent. It's really excellent. And one of the characters in there, like I said, it was a little misplaced with Joe Colombo's guys hanging around, but a lot of that's true.
Yeah.
One of the guys is Joe DiCicco. Joe Butterass was one of the guys who used to go talk to Al Ruddy.
Gianni Russo said he was the one that brokered that he was really the guy who kind of no, he says this. I tell you. He said I looked over at Joe and said, Joe, I just brokered this deal. Like, how about me? I want a part in the movie. And he says that Joe Colombo then said to Al Ruddy, and give a part to Gianni. So no, I
really up to that one. Not that. I
don't
know.
As far as I know your favorite film on your society is Debt Collector. But what are some of the other ones that, like, of the really popular ones that's out there? Is there any that you really think that like what would you say are some of the better ones that are really capture that life and really kind of like show kind of what it's like? If someone was to ask you for a recommendation, like Goodfellas, like what's your thoughts on Goodfellas?
I thought it was tremendous.
Tootie ran the cab stand and La Bella Vista Pizzeria and a few other places for his brother Paul, who was the boss over everybody in the neighborhood.
Hello, Paulie. Hey, Paulie.
Paulie might have moved slow, but it was only because Paulie didn't have to move for anybody.
Must I forever be a beggar?
It's your fault. You started. I started it. It's your fault.
Junior, here.
Again, they took a generation, right? And they depicted it pretty well of what happened there. And different mindset of the older guys, and you had the characters there, Jimmy Burke and Al. In that group, they were younger-minded guys. They were a little bit my age, not Burke, but the guys that played there. Maybe they'd be 70 today, a couple of years older than me. And there was a different thinking. I thought it was excellent. You know, I thought that was an excellent movie. A lot of lessons in there too. And Scorsese does a great job. Another movie that it was about a boxer, Raging Bull.
Great movie.
And that's where Joe Pesci and that Family Enforcer Debt Collector movie. That was his first movie. That's where Scorsese discovers him and Frank Vincent, because he's in the Debt Collector also. They discovered him from that little they say B movie. I think it's like a C movie, but it's tremendous, and a lot of lessons in there about regular street guy. And that's where those two guys get discovered. Raging Bull's another great movie. There's several, Casino's another good movie. A different set of time, different set in time, and the Chicago guys and how they handle their business in Vegas with the skim, which was really nobody's ever really gotten into the skim, I don't think, out there. I'm not expert on that at all, but the magnitude of how to use the union's money to build hotels and all the families that were involved all over the country. Cleveland, which was a huge part of there with the Teamsters in Vegas, and how these Italians who basically didn't go to school, what they really created, going way back, and continued it till I would say into the 80s after Casino was over. They're huge influence. There's still influence out there, but not close to what it used to be. So movies like that, there's lessons in there that take from fact. You know what I mean? And as a novice or somebody don't know, let's say where I grew up and some of the info, maybe a little hard to say, hey, really, that's true? That can't be true. Yeah, a lot of it's true. It's loosely based on stuff, but true.
Yeah. The Irishman gets a little bit of a bad rap, but I actually enjoyed the movie. Now, I'm not saying that the central theme of he killed Jimmy Hoffa is true. I'm not taking that, but the movie in general, I thought that was a pretty good movie. Did you see The Irishman?
I did. It hurt my head.
It's too long. I think it's way too long.
It was horrible.
You don't like it at all?
Horrible. From start to finish, there was nothing good about it.
Oh, well, okay.
And again, I'm a huge Scorsese guy, and that was his only flop that I think he ever made.
Yeah, I'm a huge Robert De Niro fan. So anything Robert De Niro is my all-time favorite actor, him and Denzel. But I love Robert De Niro. I thought it could have been edited in half and probably could have been a better movie. It took me days to watch it. It was just so long, but I liked some of the scenes. Yeah, it wasn't it wasn't the best, but I would call it a C. I would grade it a C. It wasn't bad, I don't think. But,
No, what it did had too many characters that you really couldn't follow and get in depth on.
yeah.
You know what I mean? I think it was just too spread out there. Because it was, even for me, it was a little difficult to follow.
Yeah.
Isn't, all over the place. And you call bullshit a lot of stuff, Yeah, so for my eye, or somebody like me in my position knows a little bit more, you're critical because you say, what are you kidding me? This never happened. That's fantasy.
Yeah.
What do you put? So I couldn't watch it, view it as as entertainment at that point. Because like I said, just a minute ago, there's a lot of the stuff is loosely based on fact. And a lot of these other movies that we just talked about, there was pretty much fact-based, just expanded.
Yeah.
This movie was just like,
you can't watch it for a historical lesson. It's just entertain. You can only watch The Irishman to be entertained, because there's a lot of stuff that the Anastasia head and the Gallo head and all this stuff that was it's just a little entertaining to see those three guys. I love all three of those actors, Pesci, De Niro, and Al Pacino. I could put them three in the same movie. I
just don't know why he don't use DiCaprio in some of his movies, because he could play a great part.
Yeah,
the kid's very versatile.
Now he was in was it the Departed?
Yeah.
DiCaprio? Mm-hmm. Did you see that movie?
Yeah, I liked it.
You liked The Departed?
I liked The Departed. Again, Whitey Bulger, corruption with the police. They didn't get specific around Bulger, but what they were talking about. Yeah. And I think it was done great. I think a lot of twists and turns in there, and the ending is nice, a little different.
Yeah,
really good. I thought it was good. It was like almost poetic. So I viewed that as entertainment, but there was you equate Whitey Bulger with that character to a point.
Yeah, that was a good one. I enjoyed that one too. So, all right, guys, you guys been asking for for Michael to give a little discussion on different movies, what he thought about certain things. And there you go. We had a little bit of a, back and forth. He's an insider. I'm an outsider. It shows the difference in perspective sometimes, from a guy that, looks at everything from binoculars. It's a different perspective when you look far away than when you're right on the ground. So there you go. So guys, what we will do is we'll do a movie review night. So leave in the comments some films, any films that you guys want to discuss, and I'll compile that whole list, and we'll have Michael give you kind of what he thinks, a little review from him on what he thinks about all these popular films that are out there, like Goodfellas, or the HBO Gotti film, or the John Travolta Gotti film, or things, or just some of these really popular movies that are out there that everyone watches. So let us know what you think. Leave a comment. We will respond. Michael, close us out of here.
Yes, we're going to be like Siskel and Ebert, movie review. All the people do it out there. We have different perspectives, as you just seen, between Michael's view on it, Michael Franchese, and myself. And that's what this is about. We all have different opinions, and let's be interactive and let's have some fun doing it.
And I will post on the board so you can see that I didn't make this up. I'll find the clip of Franzese discussing The Godfather. He likes the movie, but he just thought it really contributed to a hit on Cosa Nostra. So we'll put his clip up too, so you can watch it and kind of give a little feedback on his perspective.
Very good. Good idea.
Yeah. So, all right, guys, leave comments. See you next week. Peace and love.
Ciao. God bless.